priorities in the fucking online library to search, right? Because I wanted to see one of the articles. So every Sunday there's meetings, and during these meetings, these articles get read, right? And these are question and answer. So what happens is, before Sunday, you have to study this, right? So you want to show up with highlights and marks in here to let people know that you study low key. So then Sunday, when it comes time to go over this, there's going to be a brother on the stage, and he's going to be, one of them is going to be reading the paragraphs, and the other is going to be asking the questions. And whoever's sitting in the audience, they raise their hand, they bring them a microphone, and you say your answer in front of everybody like that. So this is the type of stuff that they would make you study. I don't know if I'm going to read this whole thing, but I just want to give a little preview of the shit, just in case nobody ever been, or you know how I do, whatever. Okay, so this is how it go. Why put Jehovah's service first? Taken from Psalm 71:15. My own mouth will recount your righteousness, all day long your salvation. These are the 3 points that you're going to look for at the end when you do the review. Number 1, why did Noah, Moses, Jeremiah, and Paul put Jehovah first in their life? What will help you decide what to do with your life? And why will you put Jehovah's service first in your life? Mind you, you're studying this from, if you're born in it, from the time you can fucking read and write, you're already doing this shit. Okay? So, we got paragraphs 1 and 2. When you dedicate yourself to God and become a baptized follower of Jesus, you're making the most serious decision of your life. Okay. You're making the most serious decision of your life. There's no age limit to this. I did that shit when I was like 12. I did it because I thought I was going to die, right? You don't know what you're doing at that age. There's a lot of kids that end up doing that. It's the most serious decision of your life. You're like, I was 12. I didn't have a life. Your life hasn't even begun. You're going to get married one day. You might buy a car, a house, make some financial investments, but this shit is the most serious. And if that's the case, there should be an age limit or more requirements for niggas to do this shit. All right. In a way, you are saying to Jehovah, I want you to be my master. I am your servant. That's crazy. I want you to tell me how I should use my time, what my priorities should be, and how I should use my abilities and the things I have. That's crazy. What 12-year-old knows, like, man, that's just the first paragraph. Looking back on this, that's a wild-ass sentence, or couple of sentences. And I was reading this shit like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, hold on, I'm going to read it again. I want you to be my master. I am your servant. I want you to tell me how I should use my time, what my priorities should be, and how I should use my abilities and the things I have. What? That's control. That's control. If you give that ability to somebody, they have control over you. There's no getting around that. We're just on the first paragraph. And okay, if they were like, it's the most serious decision. So if there's an age limit and you sit down and you go over all of these things and you have to repeat this statement and all of that, then you get baptized, okay, cool. But all you have to do is just be like, yo, I want to get baptized. Okay, cool. Can you answer these questions? They have like a little booklet you got to study. Just like this, it's an article. And that's all you've been doing, so you know how to study. And you just answer them questions and then you get baptized. But you don't fucking know what you're doing. And if it's that serious, then it should be held that way. Because everything else is, once you realize what you've done, when you get about, 15, 16 or whatever, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck did I just do? Now I can't even really leave or I'm going to lose all my family. Like, oh shit. But that's just the first paragraph. Oh shit, okay. Paragraph 2. And these were supposed to be read together. If you're a baptized Christian, this is what you have promised Jehovah. You have made a very good decision. No, the fuck you did it. It was the right and wise thing to do. But now that you have accepted Jehovah as your master, how do you use your time? The examples of Noah, Moses, Jeremiah, and the Apostle Paul can help us to examine our own situation. All these men did their best in Jehovah's service. Our situation today is similar to the situation of those men. The decisions they made showed what their priorities were and what should make us want to examine how we're using our time. Shit. Okay, so without all that shit that I was saying, those 2 paragraphs would have been read, and then they would have said, okay, here's the question, the A part. What does a person show when he dedicates himself to Jehovah? Right? And somebody would raise their hand, and then they'd answer it based off of what this said, right? And then they do the same thing, that's the B part. How can the examples of Noah, Moses, Jeremiah, and Paul help us? Right? And so they have this, and so you'd raise your hand or something, and you'd be like, well, these examples, all these men, it showed that they had Jehovah's best interest, and we're living in times that are similar to that, and we want to make sure that our priorities reflect those of theirs too. Like, and they'd be like, okay, cool, and then they start reading this shit, right? I don't want to get too deep into all of these niggas. I want to keep it on like the modern day shit. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's read this. Okay, Noah, Moses, Jeremiah, and Paul, and many others use most of their time and energy in Jehovah's service. They are good examples for us to imitate. Of course, Jesus is the best example for all dedicated servants of Jehovah. After Jesus was baptized, he used the rest of his life on earth to preach the good news and give honor to Jehovah. So serving Jehovah should be a priority for every Christian who follows the example of Jesus and accepts Jehovah as his master. Is serving Jehovah your priority? How can we do more for Jehovah at the same time care for other responsibilities? And then they got you read the scripture. You got to read that one. I'm trying to get to... Here we go. Okay. For many years, Jehovah's organization has encouraged Christians to pray about whether they could pioneer. The circumstances of some faithful servants of Jehovah do not allow them to preach 70 hours each month. Okay, 70. I made a video about that. They should not feel bad about this. But what is your situation? Can you pioneer? Think about the joy that many of God's people had during the month of March. It was a month before the memorial. The auxiliary pioneers had the special opportunity to choose whether they would preach 30 or 50 hours. Millions of brothers and sisters auxiliary pioneered. You could feel that great excitement and joy in the congregations. Can you adjust your schedule so that you can auxiliary pioneer more often? When a baptized Christian pioneers, he feels happy at the end of each day and can say, Jehovah, I did everything I could in your service. I did. When I was a kid, every summer, we would have to do this. So, all the other kids, they getting out of school, they talking about spending the night at each other, sleepovers, fucking playing video games, going to the swimming pool, hooping. I gotta wake up and do this. It's hot as fuck. It's hot. Summer, you're supposed to be chilling. This shit is not, no. Yeah, and you sacrificing, like I said in the last video, y'all already know. Let's keep it pushing. If you're a young Christian who is close to finishing your schooling, you probably have good health and few responsibilities. Have you thought seriously about pioneering? Your teachers probably believe that going to college or university is the best way that you can plan your future. Their trust is in human organizations and in money. But these have no future. If you make Jehovah's service your career, you'll be using your time well and will be doing something that will give you a lasting future. You'll be imitating the perfect example of Jesus. This is a wise decision that will make you happy. It will protect you. It will show you that you will not let anything stop you from keeping your promise to Jehovah. And this is targeted at somebody about 16, 17 years old, someone close to their schooling that's thinking about going to college. This shit. That is what is ingrained in your head. Many of God's servants today must work many hours to make sure that their families have their basic needs. But some may be working more hours than they need to. The world is doing all it can to make us believe that we should buy everything new. The world is doing all it can to make us believe that we should buy every new thing there is because we cannot live without it. But true Christians do not want Satan and his world to decide their priorities. What about the situation of those who have retired from work? The best thing they can do is use their time to pioneer and put Jehovah's service first. That's the best thing they can do, right? And then here, when it comes to buying electronics and new shit, whatever, it says, many of God's servants today, not that one. It says, some may be working more hours than they need to. Who the fuck is working more hours than they need to? Like, man, okay, man. Niggas is, all dedicated servants of Jehovah can ask themselves, what is most important in my life? Do I put Jehovah's service first? Do I imitate Jesus and show that I am willing to use my time and energy to serve God? Do I listen to Jesus and keep following him? Can I adjust my schedule so that I can do more in the preaching work or other activities in Jehovah's service? Even if I cannot do more now, do I try to find ways to use my time and energy for Jehovah? Damn. I can't use my time and energy for myself? Let's read these. It is wonderful to see the zeal of God's people. But some who could pioneer may not have the desire to do it or may think that they do not have enough skill. What if you feel this way? Okay, so look, even if you don't have the desire to pioneer, right? Like, you sitting in there and you're like, I don't want to pioneer. Okay, well, that's wrong. Pray to Jehovah for help. Okay, because you need to, you need to pioneer. You need to have that desire. Paul said that Jehovah wants to help us to will and to act. So if you do not have the desire to do more in your ministry, ask Jehovah to give you both the desire and the skill. See, so it's like, even if you don't want to, you should want to. Noah, Moses, Jeremiah, Paul, and Jesus were all faithful men. They used their time and energy to preach Jehovah's warning message. They did not allow anything to distract them from their work. The end of the system of things is very near. So all of us who have dedicated our lives to God need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to imitate these excellent examples from the Bible. By following their examples, we can make Jehovah happy, and he will bless us. So even dedicating your life and giving this statement and saying, I want you to be my master, I'm your servant, whatever the fuck that is, that's still not enough, right? Just doing that is not enough. That's the most serious decision. But you still need to make sure you're using your time and energy, and if you retire, right, the best thing you can do if you retire is to pioneer. The best thing they can do is use their time to pioneer and put Jehovah's service first. Talking about retired people. That's crazy as fuck. But this is the type of shit, and this is just a little Sunday article. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy. It's a little Sunday article. Everybody's reading this shit, studying this shit, making notes, praying on it, like this is the bread and butter. Just a little sneak peek on the inside.